Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Without Context podcast. We're inching towards that 30th episode,
Yeah,
getting close.
it would have been
And
this
look, we
week.
got back.
It would have been this
It
week, but
me.
last week we had a very weird schedule across everybody. So
Yeah,
first week of this, but
yeah,
20 something weeks in, that's not bad.
it's a pretty good,
But
especially
when it
into
was
2022. We've
went
missed
over
one
half a
literally
year.
because we missed one literally because Sharky's on vacation, and we missed another one because everyone had a hell week.
Yeah,
What can you do? So we have our usual hosts back, reunited, and it feels so good. Fuck you, I
Hello.
didn't sing it, Peaches and Cream.
peaches and
Anyway.
cream, peaches and cream.
I was like, I don't understand the web. I'm just a
Uh,
sleepy blanket lady.
So today's topic, we've decided, once again, 20 minutes before before the show starts, uh, is role playing. Um, and across different forms of how we do it. Most of us, two of us here are DMs, myself and Sharky, and Haley, I assume, would like to try at some point.
Yeah.
So we have that side covered, and then we also have the other side covered with Haley and myself, because I actually play quite a bit compared to what most people think of me. And
This is
Sharky plays sometimes too.
this is like our role play in the context of Dungeons and Dragons. Let me just I feel
Eh,
like
let them think what they want.
Yeah, and
well,
the different styles that it can take, which we'll
Yeah,
talk about.
let people think what they want when I say role playing. I guess I'll start because I have the distinction of mostly being the one here who does more role playing because I play two characters in Sharky's game, and then I also DM uh, a lot. Um, so it's for me, it's really interesting being like I said, having those two halves of my brain and having to decide who's going to say something in this moment and who isn't. And
But
differentiating between Two's Timber and Salvador's is also challenging in my head sometimes.
who's
I naturally
who's
sounded like
pil-
two.
who's piloting the meat skeleton? Is it the gun elf or is
Who's-
it the turtle druid?
And it's interesting because like I I was like half asleep on Saturday, so two naturally came out more than Salvador did, just because two was. I've been half asleep role playing, and it's just two. I'm just like, hey guys, how are you doing?
Yeah, because you like rolled up after like being out and you were like, I'm tired.
I told my other group guys, I'm sorry, I love you guys. I'm gonna sleep. It's been a hell week for me. I don't know how I squeezed out. I don't know how I frankly don't know how I squeezed out that game, Sharky.
Yeah, it ran kind of short because we also started later than usual,
Mhm.
just kind of BSing. And I guess I can segue into the talk about it. The role playing that we do for my campaign does kind of take more of the written route on the Discord and channels and everything because we have such a limited time to play on
Mhm.
Saturdays. It can't really dedicate it to the full experience, I would say, and the time needed to really like develop things.
Yeah, we
Um,
we really have to get that action in
but
there.
it's been helping because the sessions that we play can lean more towards, the action or the social encounters or anything like that.
Mhm.
And some slight role playing for me, which is harder to do like on the go. Like being a DM, people are like, "Oh, it's, you have to role play all the NPCs," and it's like I understand that. I'm still just bad at it at times. But
It's a
having it
learning skill.
having it in the Discord with everything like between this event and the next event, where it's just a party kind of talking with each other, and then on Fridays it's like, all right, roleplay's over. This is going to lead into the session.
Hmm.
It gives you guys like a week to kind of like write out stuff and interact as your characters for a change, longer than our sessions would allow. And
And even when we have like a combat or social encounter, like I think back to when Salvador, when we were killing Flory's, like a shade of Flory's husband, and I'm just sitting there with the gun, like, do it, Flory. Like, you still get raw ass moments like that.
It's just like, shoot your husband's ghost.
Yeah.
But so it's kind of like 50-50. It's the sessions are more of the action, and the week leading between them is more of the role play, and I think it's more fulfilling. I'd love to see how our friend Whiffles does it, because from what I understand, she strictly plays text-based D&D. Like, they don't do like in-person sessions or anything like that. At least from what I get, it's just strictly text chat with dice rolls in it.
Oh, that's interesting.
So I think it's more freeing in a way, where it's like, hey, it's your turn and you can reply whenever, and you don't have to really worry about it, because it's not going to be like Charlie Haley, Whis, Deca, me. It's not going to be like this constant thread of stuff happening. If it's going to be like, hey, it's your turn, reply when you can. That person replies, the next person replies, nobody can interject after that turn. So it's a constant like step ladder down. So you don't miss anything when it comes back to your turn. And there's this fucking gnat
fun
flying
fact
around.
Welcome to my world, Sharky.
Right on the
Get it.
wall.
Get it, Sharky. Get it.
Yeah.
Well done. So I played. I actually got my start playing D&D like 5-ish years ago. Doing text-based roleplay actually. So I have a little bit of experience in this regard.
That's me too. In high school, I discovered the ancient texts of Yahoo chat room roleplay.
ICQ.
And then no, I wasn't old enough for ICQ.
I was.
It was Yahoo chat rooms, and then like 8 months into that, it was MySpace with the role playing profiles. And then it's like just kind of evolved from there.
Feel like we're losing Haley.
No, it feels like, as always, you two have this like extensive background on this thing, and I'm like, this is my first time ever doing any sort of RP, anything.
But
ever,
are you having fun?
Unless I'm like, oh my god, I'm having so much fun.
See, what makes it fun?
Thing.
I literally I feel like, especially like I don't think I really got into the role play aspect of the server until I went, like, I was on my month-long hiatus with the podcast and doing stuff at home. And I think I was kind of shy and hesitant to it because like my character is showing up to this 2-year campaign 2 years late with a Starbucks, and I'm just like, you guys have your own shit going on, and like your characters all know each other. I'm just here to provide you healers, support, like literally. And then I didn't feel like it was my place to be in any sort of RP. And then Charlie went, no, I'm not. That's not okay. I'm romancing your character.
And that's what makes it fun for. That's what makes it fun for me as a DM, when it's like the players are like, we're gonna do this, because then it's like, oh, that's a new dynamic now.
Dragging you into the game, kicking and screaming.
Well, I don't necessarily. I wasn't kicking and screaming. I was kind of like that gif of like or like that, like looking through the window, being like, I wish that could be me right now. That would be so fun. I want to be able to do that stuff, but like, I'm the new kid. No one really knows me. They've been playing these characters forever.
Mm-hmm.
That feels like a lot of space to occupy that I feel like I haven't earned. And if that sounds familiar to my character in the game, it's because I'm not really pretending. I'm just playing myself, but taller and stronger and hotter.
To be fair, I don't think Amara's done anything in text chat. And Bang only showed up to crawl out of 2's backpack and then crawled back in and has disappeared again. So
yeah, and Charlie has been great, because I know that he's wanted me to have like a D&D experience like this since he got me into playing D&D. Because like what really got me into it was Critical Role, and I was like, this is like a real thing you could do with your friends. That sounds like so much fun. And I've played D&D with other groups, but it's like running modules, so you just kind of like read things from the textbook and you just play it. And he's like, you got to get in on this game. And I'm like, I'm not going to get in on this game unless Sharky specifically tells me he wants to play in this game. But I just sat there for weeks like, maybe if I become good enough friends with Sharky, he'll let me play in his game. And then you did. And Charlie specifically knows how to provoke a reaction out of me. And we just been playing chicken with each other in that method in the RP chat, and I'm getting a little bit more confident in doing stuff with that. But like right now, I'm definitely, now that Ophelia's drunk on the ground and petting a chicken, I'm just gonna be like, all right, it's time for her to just shut the fuck up and stay shutted the fuck up for a while.
Well, the roleplay that happened as like the romance was like building to like the point of happening, like the entire server was like watching, and then when when the characters kissed, it was like the first thing I had ready to go was the Eric Andre like and it's just like everybody had like reaction like gifts ready to go. It's like yeah, and it's like because
like,
we're invested.
I did not realize like the entire server was watching. I just thought it was like me and Charlie shooting the shit on a thread in the server until we're messaging each other on Facebook Messenger to be like, "Oh, you sick bitch! How dare you do that?" And then he's like, "You do realize that like everyone's watching this?" And I'm like, "Oh no, the pressure to perform." So
the anxiety's kicking in.
and now that Charlie, Echo, and I regularly hang out, now we have the fun triad of Atticus, Ophelia, and Whist.
Yeah,
we're plotting, but no,
my favorite throuple in D&D.
One of these days we'll go, when we finish the campaign, I'll sit down and just talk about the plot like development for everybody listening to this podcast so they have the full context of everything going on.
I don't even know the full context of what's going on, and I think that is that's presenting a fun like roleplay opportunity, because like me and my character don't know what the hell is going on at any minute of that entire campaign. She knows, we both know like heal people when they hurt. Everybody wants to kill you, and you just have to feel okay about that. And
adventure life.
It's been interesting talking with Echo now, with like the misunderstanding that was ongoing between our two characters in terms of Atticus, Charlie's character, and it's made me give more of a shit about my characters now that I'm like, oh, I have to sit and like think in her head how she would react to certain things and how that impacts like combat for her. Because like right now she's obviously got a pretty heavy Atticus bias, and she's gonna have to sort of confront that if someone else is hurt and Atticus is hurt at the same time. It's gonna be like, fuck. I can't just be like, gotta go save my maybe boyfriend. I have to treat everybody equally. And then the latest thing that she's kind of, one of the main reasons she's currently drunk on the floor petting a chicken is Whist very innocently was like, Atticus loves you. And she's like, we've known each other for 2 weeks.
But you almost died how many times?
Just like, I don't know how to feel about that whole situation. And it's been fun. Just having that extra layer of the game, because now I'm like invested in the plot even though I don't really know what's going on.
you have a second half of, you have part 2 of the plot. You don't have part 1 of the 2 plots.
Haley has pieced some things together. Ophelia has had some other shit going on with her that she's trying to figure out herself, and it's not going great.
I actually really like that that Ophelia did show up a day late with Starbucks. Because that helps me as a player who has 2 different PCs invested in this, like kind of refreshes Jeremy's mind of like, okay, this is what's going on here. This is how T would react. This is how Salvador would react. So it is unique, and I do appreciate the addition of you and like some of the other people who have showed up over time.
It's the last 2 additions to the campaign were you and you and Alvin. And you guys kind of fill the slots that Amara and Bang aren't around to fill anymore in terms of like the party numbers. I'm just not sure if people, I need to check with them to see if like they still wish to play or not, because it seems like every time I post the schedule and everything, I just don't hear anything. And I know that for the longest time I was messaging Amara being like, hey, we're playing Saturday, because I don't think they check the thing often. But I do kind of want them back, because I do want them to have chances to roleplay and develop. I don't know how well I can tie like their personal goals in this late. I mean, I've tied a little bit of Bang's story into the campaign from what they give, but Amara has no backstory. She's literally just a Tabaxi rogue who's just there for the ride.
To be fair, that's because we made those characters for a one shot.
That was true. But
I'm scared.
Bang's to
have
experience
a backstory in your fucking campaign. I'm scared of it.
But Bang's experience has been, we're going to the Underdark. We're coming out of the Underdark. They come out of the backpack after weeks away to find themselves in another dimension. And then they come back, and it's like, this kobold has no idea what's going on. It's like, this kobold's in its own world right now.
Yeah, but, I've learned very quickly just from observing the other characters and like interacting with them in game, like in roleplay, like thank fucking God I gave her very little backstory. Like, I'm coming from Paylor School to complete my practical as part of my graduate studies, and then I'm gonna go home when we're done here. And I might have a rival from school, but like part of me is like absolutely like crossing all of my fingers that my school rival is like interning for Millette, because that would be the funniest thing. Just being like, "What are you doing here, you rat bastard?"
It's just them with like a like it's just them, and Millette's just there like, you wanna make an A, kid?
Like, I think that would just be personally hysterical for me, just to be like, oh, that one unnamed NPC I gave Sharky is just interning for the ultimate evil of this campaign. It would just be like,
What's so funny is seeing for the first time a character who at the beginning had all their shit together, had a living family, had goals, and then they get thrown into a typical D&D adventure and just witnessing like the breakdown of that character like in real time.
That has been somewhat cathartic on like a personal level, because Ophelia is kind of helping me work through, I wouldn't call it trauma exactly, but like through some of the like worst parts of being a graduate student. And like what that means to a person, because like all those breakdowns she's having are like breakdowns I've had, like not necessarily that like I had to save the world as a graduate student, like absolutely not. But you definitely have moments where like something hits you when you're a student, you're just like, let me just drink this whole last bottle of wine and then just get on with my day, I guess. And just like dealing with like her coming into a group of people that have a lot of like pre-established relationships and like trying to find her niche in that has been an interesting exploration for myself. And
you found a boyfriend and a dad.
I apparently now have a boyfriend and a dad, and two people that she's like, are these my new like trauma bonded best friends, in like Gwen and Whis. And she's just now kind of figuring out like, oh shit, I've had it really great in my life compared to what all of these people have been through. I shouldn't be having these kind of emotional reactions that I'm having, because like literally everyone around me has it worse than me right now. And I keep crying about everything. So that's been a personal thing for me as well. It's just like, cause I do that shit all the time. And no, you go ahead.
It kind of reminds me of an old tweet from Liam O'Brien, where he's like, why does everyone always have trauma? And it's like, oh, hey, Billy, you want to go kill vampires? No, fuck you. I want to work on this farm.
Yeah, it's like Ophelia as a character, it's like the level one, like everything is good, everybody has it all together and it's happy, and then like the inciting event like kills everybody close to them, and that's why they become an adventurer. As Ophelia has that story, but like 9
happening in
levels
real
into
time.
the game.
When I was talking with you about her initially, like I wanted to be very clear that like all the levels that she would have going into this campaign, like she got while doing stuff for school in like a controlled, safe environment. And this is her first foray into quote unquote the real world. And she might not have had a traumatic backstory coming into this because like she never wanted to be an adventurer. She's there for school. And like the adventuring part of it was like an optional thing. And she's like, of course I'm going for that extra credit. I have to be the best at everything. And so she's kind of getting her traumatic backstory as the campaign moves on, as she's helping people like come to terms with some of their traumatic backstory. She's getting her own, which is really funny. And
if you do not have a traumatic backstory, one will be provided for you.
Yeah, like I don't know if it was that same tweet where it's like well-adjusted people don't become adventurers.
Yeah.
That's the one.
And I don't think even after now that she's going to be not well-adjusted, I feel like she's not going to want to ever be she's just like, I don't know if this shit is for me or not, but she's going to suck it up and do everything she can to help this group, even if the group tries to shoot itself in the foot at every opportunity.
Like the idiot tunnel.
It's
I
like-
had 2 different Ophelia loses it speeches drafted for RP this week. And to my express shock, the goblin talked her down.
I really do
I
appreciate
thought he was going to say something crass and set her off, but he was like, no, like, shit happens. And that, like, she's just like, huh, you're right. And I did not expect that, so I was not prepared for Doc to actually talk sense to the cleric.
If I was around, I think Salvador would have slapped the bottle out of your hands like, it's fine, this is how adventuring works, kid.
And
I
she
like
would have
the
just been like,
evolution of Doc from the campaign start of the first campaign with Salvador to his point now where he's like really leveled into what he wants him to be. After role playing, it's like he was just this chaotic like scientist goblin, but then it's like, oh look, he's injected this backstory. He has a goal now, and he's like leveled out a little bit.
The first session with Doc and that Year of Skulls crew, he was throwing bombs around. Like he's just like, I'm just throwing bombs around.
Yeah.
And me, the player, is like, dude, chill. You're gonna fucking capsize the ship.
Yeah, there was a growth from just I don't know what I'm doing with this character besides chaotic goblin to it's like, hey, I'm like this other team dad now. I'm the crazy uncle,
the wine uncle, as it were.
Yeah, it's like is with a campaign that goes on for over about 2 years now. There's a lot of time to really develop, who your character is in that field you have for them. Because comparing now to the start of both campaigns, everybody was drastically different.
You also,
to a degree.
You also can't just go, like, I'm using Doc as the example here, but this could be anybody's game. You can't just always be the, haha, I'm so crazy, like, for a 2-year long-form campaign, because that gets old very fast. And I think Doc or his player had, like, that come to Jesus moment, and that's when he, like, talked to you about it.
Yeah, so when we sat down to, like, really, like, develop his backstory and everything, I think it gave him kind of like a direction to go with, because that's really all that a lot of people need to start role playing in D&D, whether it be in person or in text chat, is that you need just kind of a direction to go. It's like, what is the goal? What's the goal here? And then kind of shaping your character around that to a degree. It's like with Ophelia right now, it's like, I just wanted to learn cleric stuff, and now it's like I gotta do this, but it's like I have all these like broken people around me now, so it's like I don't want to be in this situation, but I'm here now. So
yeah, it's, as you were saying that, I was trying to think of like what Ophelia's central goal besides go home alive at the end of this thing is. Just when we talked about her, I asked you like what was a niche like that could be filled in this party, that
and I was just instantly like, cleric. They need a cleric.
Because and it worked out because my comfort zone in D&D is a support, because I don't like taking a sort of like a leadership role in D&D, and clerics just like, I don't have to worry about being necessarily like good at combat mechanics. I don't necessarily have to be like thinking about like, how do I make the most out of my character so they do the most damage possible. I can sit there and go, how can I be the best helper I can for this party? And that is such character bleed into Ophelia, where she's like, how can I be the most help to this group of people at any given moment? And whether that's through like a cure wound spell, or like with Atticus, like obviously she likes him, but she's also like, this is somebody who is broken, and while it's going to probably crush me as a person, if I'm his necessary character development to move past this thing of grief, I'm gonna have to just be that person. Like, she fully expects that he's gonna like come to his senses at one point and be like, I've gotten all that I need from you, so I can move on in my life in a healthy sort of way. And she's just sort of mentally preparing for that. And like, one of her character traits is like, I will do anything it takes to help someone, no matter the personal cost. And I took that personally, and that's how I play her. In any moment, she definitely struggles with like her own like selfish tendencies, but she is sort of realizing like, this is a group of extremely broken people, and I'm going to do everything I can to keep them together, because my God literally told me this group, the world depends on the success of this group, and she'll break herself into a billion pieces if it'll launch them forward. So
Yeah.
it's going to be fun playing her moving forward.
It's like Alvin coming to like a realization with his character too, because he didn't have a backstory for Calum aside from, you know, a former Inquisitor. And then it was like, okay, you know, they get cleaned out, there's a new order, so he's not in it anymore. You know, he's going to meet you guys in this town, where they also met Ophelia. So it's like, okay, cool. We go to a new location, we introduce the new characters, and we start that up. And then seeing him like roleplay recently, like being like pretty much being like the Maze Hughes like dad to Ophelia. It's like, this is my like prized cleric daughter. But then it's also like those moments of like, whereas Caleb's just like, you know, I just want to help people now. Like, I'm tired of doing the other thing. It's like, that was seeing that stuff. I was like, he's just doing that now. That's just something Alvin's doing now. Like, he's shaping Caleb's like end goal here. So yeah. It's like, it's just really cool. I think having like just the freedom to do that in our Discord rather than having to do it in game for a short period of time that we have is definitely giving people a lot more opportunity to like open up about their characters in ways that they probably wouldn't have time or my offers to do like in session. So I've also always been kind of more of a combat or encounter heavy DM, not more of a roleplay one. So I think moving forward, even with the next campaign and how the next campaign's set up, having just the text channels for you all to use between obvious like encounter sessions that we play definitely eases the balance, so it doesn't feel like people are missing out.
I think that's kind of how our DMing style is different, Sharky. Because I absolutely like, hey, what are you guys doing in this moment? Hey, what are you doing? Hey, what are you doing? Like, very much trying to herd my cats, making sure they're, you know, at least I give them the opportunity to be active in the world. Like, I want to press this lever. Okay, this happens. And next, as of recording, next Thursday, actually, I'm going to be DMing probably for a prolonged period of time, where we usually have like a 3 hours and, you know, text channels to go through. I actually have to remember, like, no, give them an opportunity to roleplay. We have plenty of time. We're not hurting for time here, because I think we're also doing like an adult sleepover at that time too. So that's also pretty cool.
I feel like it's easier for me in person to do that roleplay, because when I was the campaign that is the prelude to this one, basically, that kind of set like the backdrop to this campaign, the one that we had to stop playing. We were playing Friday nights for 6 hours. So we'd get off of work, we'd sit down at like 7:30, and we'd play until like 2 a.m. So it would give us time to do, the combat, because that party was 7 people at the table.
Jesus fucking Christ.
So, I mean, I do that now. I keep doing that to myself. But it was that at a table, and it was our first time playing 5th edition, and people were still learning, the rules and all that. And so the 6 hours really gave us a lot of time to do combat, and then like 3 hours of straight roleplay. And I can, looking through my old notes, I can definitely tell that I did more roleplay in person. I think the time constraint definitely does something for me to not have that same kind of energy to do it. Because I like being in person. I can have more body language and stuff with it. So just like kind of talking to people, like I don't feel like I get the same kind of fulfillment out of it. So seeing it all between you guys in chat is definitely worth it, and leaving those 3 hours to just be like the big set pieces, I think is a fun little balance for me.
I know for me, it's been nice, sort of, because like this is my first like dipping of the toe into any sort of like character roleplay.
Yeah.
Having the text channels, because it kind of gives me a minute to sort of like collect my thoughts and make sure I'm communicating in the way that I want to, is nice, versus kind of having to think more on my feet, as I would imagine if you're doing it in person. And that's just like me wanting to have control over a situation I don't feel like I always have control over. Wow, what does that sound like? My D&D character. So I like having the text threads, because it gives me a minute to kind of like take in what they say and have my own like personal reaction to it, and then be like, okay, this is what I would do. What would Ophelia do? Which they're basically the same thing at this point, because like I may have been playing D&D for several years, but I still feel like I don't really know what I'm doing moment to moment.
Nobody does.
Cool.
I can't wait for Ophelia to put on a black wig and some bird wings and play the same character in our next campaign.
No. I'm trying really hard to have Jet, my next character, be a little bit outside of my comfort zone. He's still gonna be a support class, like a bard, because I'm too scared to do any sort of not support thing. But his main inspiration, like character inspiration, is like Peter Baelish. Like, I don't want him to be nice. And it's so funny because as soon as I started talking about like, oh, I'm gonna play a bird bard, everyone's like, we must protect the bird bard. I'm like,
the burb.
You're already falling for his trap and he's not even real yet. So I'm hoping I can sort of step out of my comfort zone of just anxiety people and have a little bit more of a confident, sort of morally gray character, because I don't think you'll let me have him be super mean. But
we had I don't know if you watched the
Salvador,
episode.
what do you mean?
I don't know if you watched the episode where we talked to Noah. But I think it was before or after we recorded, we offered Noah to like play D&D with us, and he's like, I just want you to know, like, I play evil characters. So
I'm just like straight up, I'm gonna step out of that one because I don't like evil campaigns.
It's like,
No,
I'm that person who can't be mean in the Renegade run.
Big mood. I'm talking a big game for Jet, but I'm hoping the sort of character journey he'll have is kind of like softening his icy exterior to kind of let himself be vulnerable again after some of his backstory stuff. So like he's gonna start off like a hardened asshole, but Echo is already like, I'm designing a character to romance your character. Because I was like,
it's another
no,
Kenku.
because I'm like, no, because I feel like, and this is just like a me having an anxiety disorder sort of thing. My name is literally AnxietyLasagna. I have a lot of layers. I feel like I'm taking up a lot of space having like this new character come in and steal Atticus from Whist, because like I stand by the fact that I feel like that's what happened, and they can tell me all they want that that's not what happened, but that's what happened.
Atticus stole Whist from 2. It's fine.
Y'all, what? What?
That's all I'm gonna say about that.
So campaign 2,
no
it
way.
was like when I got Whist's backstory and like the connection between Atticus and Whist, it just became like this group is gonna protect the goat.
Yep.
until Sunshine Angel Baby rolls in like, hello, I'm here in my brand new unused adventure pack with like
then
the tag still on my nice new rope. Yeah, so
the first meeting between Whis and Tulio, they both became bears. Tulio shifted to a bear, and Whis wild shaped into a bear, and it's like bears.
But yeah, so I'm hopeful that I'll be able to sort of have a character that still has like parts of myself in it, because I feel like that's the only way you can like really truly be authentic in that sort of way, but not just me basically self-inserting myself into a D&D campaign. So I'm like, Jet hopefully will do that, but for now I still got to figure out what the hell is going on with Ophelia. Like because like my gut is like, why is she even still here? Like, why wouldn't she just go home at this point? Like, she's overwhelmed. She doesn't really know how she's even like making an impact on this group right now. Like, it seems like Atticus is just flagrantly against the idea of being alive, and
He is.
And Whist is just this impulsive like child like person, and she's like, now I'm responsible for this little being too because you remind me of my younger brother, and she just doesn't feel like she pulls her weight in that group, and part of her is like, maybe I should just go home and I'd be out of their way and I can make sure that my family's safe. But at the same time, like, Paylor himself was like, you gotta help these people. So she's got a lot going on in her brain right now.
I just can't wait until Ophelia has to tell Atticus that he got cucked by Paylor.
I've started laying the groundwork with that. Like when she was talking with Whist, and
Right,
Whist
Atticus,
was like,
you gotta,
oh, like,
have to be very cool about something real
you have
quick.
to be very cool about something, like, because she mentioned to Whist where it's like, I know what it's like to love somebody that doesn't feel the same way about you, and she's literally talking about Paylor.
I imagine she has like if it was like a modern day, it'd be like the Paylor poster, and like she just like rubs the abs when she leaves her room. It's just
Like,
it's like having not the looking at the poster. It's like having like the boy band crush though, and you're like, they're gonna notice me one day, but they're like never come to your town. So it's just
the way I
that's too real.
envision her relationship with Paylor is like sort of how when you're, which like obviously Ophelia is an extension of myself, but like when you're young in like religious education, they like make it feel like you have to have like this very important like personal relationship with like Jesus and God and stuff. And Ophelia took that literally. She's like, oh, I'm devoting myself to Paylor because I love him. Like, you're supposed to love your deity, but she's like, okay, I need to be in love with this person so that I can fully devote myself to them. And she didn't get the memo that it doesn't have to be like that.
I feel like
So
you don't have to thirst
not
after
only
them.
yeah, so not only is she dealing with the fact that like she's developing feelings for like a person that's not Paylor, now she feels she stole that person from Whis. No matter what people are telling her, she feels like the person, the home wrecker, the whatever. And now she's also like, I'm also cheating on Paylor.
Cheating on my literal god.
On my literal god.
Such a weird little love triangle of Azamar, Tiefling, Satyr.
It's a love square.
Love square. Yeah, I don't know. She's just trying to. She's gonna have the next conversation she's having with Whist is like, I know that like he had no right to tell you that something was dangerous considering his track record, but you also can't just be an idiot about shit either.
It's really interesting to see my character Salvador's I'd say growth, because early on in the like when we were making our characters for the Year of Skulls, Sharky like dropped all these plot hooks, and of course no one took any of them except for I took the one about Atlantis. I was like, yeah, sure, we'll go with this one. I'll make an elf.
They weren't even plot hooks, they were just like summaries of like locations you could be from.
Uh-huh.
And Deca's like, that's my backstory.
I can make a personality around this.
It's like, what part of Atlantis is your backstory? Yes.
Yes. I eventually made a city. I need to actually double up on that, actually make that city.
If there's anything our viewers can take away from this, is like, it is really hard to DM you guys at times.
Hey, I
It's
literally
just-
help you create Turtle Society.
Like the meme that was shared before we started recording. It's like, can I provoke an attack of opportunity on the cleric to smack me with cure wounds? And I'm just like, I'll allow it because you guys are gonna find a way to do it anyway.
Can I heat metal?
The moment
And
Wiz was like, can I heat metal? And I'm looking at like construct character sheet, and I'm like,
No.
I don't know if there's a precedent for this. And it's like, you know what? It says
Specifically
object.
says object.
We're gonna go with object. But then, is the whole thing the creature? And is that chest plate the object? Like, that's what my brain started. I was like, how can I actually roll
Thinking too
this?
hard about it.
It's like, is the collective of metal the creature? Or is that
Or is
piece
the little
considered
soul
the
gem.
creature? I was just like, God
I cast
damn
the
it.
keep metal on the soul gem itself. Would that work?
Yeah, I was just like, God. It's like, God damn it. Let me look this up real quick.
I think before so there was a moment in the Year of Skulls campaign that Sharky introduced Salvador and truthfully me to the Baelnorn, a bunch of elvish liches. And I think before that, Salvador was also kind of just there, TM.
He was just on a frontier adventure, setting up
Yeah.
colonies on a new continent.
Yeah. And I think when he truly got, because yeah, first session setting up colonies on the new frontier. Second session, we're in the Beastlands.
Yeah, I kind of wrote myself into a planar setting. So I was
That's
like,
okay. It was. I think all of that was also very interesting for Salvador to like see different realities, to kind of get him up to speed on that sort of thing. Because I envision him as a very intelligent person, not like, you know, or more intelligent than your average fighter who just goes in and whacks stuff with their stick until something falls.
yeah, you have a modifier of 3, not 1. So,
Yeah. So and I think when you introduced the Baelnorn to Salvador, I was like, oh, I do have a stake in this. Interesting. And then when
it took a while.
the other group,
Yeah, it took a while to actually like give it a coherent, like unified plot, because everything about the first campaign was just about the Ashura and all that, and then that kind of got brushed away for this overarching plot when I realized, like, hey, I can combine these two. And because of what you guys did in the other campaign, setting up like Atlantis as like a major like change is happening, it's just like, all right, I can work with all this. I can give everybody kind of like their stake here.
I'm so excited because I gave Sharky a list of relatives that I have, or Salvador has, and which ones like him and which ones don't like, or which ones at the time he left liked him and which ones do not like him. And while I don't remember that off the top of my head, it's going to be very interesting to, if I see any of them, to kind of find out, like, oh god, I gotta shoot my mom. Man, this sucks.
Oh my god.
He left his family home in a like an inferno.
I feel like one goal that I have for Ophelia now that she's kind of realizing, like, oh, the tangled webs we weave within this party is depending on how the final battles shake out. Like, obviously she wants to like go back to Grauhaven and help rebuild it because she feels pretty fucking responsible for what happened there, even though Paylor said it wasn't her fault. She feels like it was at least a little bit her fault. And she's gonna want to like get everybody's story to kind of like chronicle it so that there's like a cohesive story of like whatever this adventuring party ends up being called, I'll come up with something funny and just be like, here's the full story of like it started with this and this and this and this is how it all came together and how we saved the world, hopefully. And then she's just gonna have to like go home and like graduate from grad school.
You're gonna have a bunch of weird, like, monstrous races there. Like, yeah, go Ophelia.
I literally was talking with Harley and Echo about this earlier, because like I imagine Ophelia is like this all of a sudden plain touch child from like a completely human family with their own complex dynamics, but her like rich, affluent grandparents who have like a house on the Riviera or something are throwing this like graduation soiree for their magical grandchild, and she rolls up with like a turtle,
The
an elf
entourage.
man, a goblin, and a bot. What do they call Gwen's
Gearforged?
race?
Oh, blasphemy.
Blasphemy, and then just her like half devil boyfriend, just like
Technically,
hi guys.
Technically, Gwen is also plane touched, just the wrong plane.
There'll also
She's-
be,
yeah.
if we include Amara and Bang, a pink furred tabaxi and a kobold who is riding a steel drake.
Yeah, so like I've been taking all that into account because I don't know if we've ever talked about this on the podcast, but I could talk about it at length. Sharky promised us a relaxing beach episode before
That's a whole
the
other
campaign
episode.
started.
That's a whole other
Whoa.
episode.
And I didn't get my beach episode, so I'm creating my own beach episode for everybody as like a thank you for letting me play with you. And I'm designing a boyfriend for Whis in Ophelia's brother Hector, because I feel bad for stealing Whist's boyfriend, and it's gonna be good, and everybody's gonna live, because even if they don't, they're gonna live in my one shot. Fight
Ophelia
me.
really said, "Fine, I'll do it myself."
I haven't. That was been what, 3-4 weeks now. I haven't lived it down.
It's
Yep.
been longer than that.
Yeah,
It's
which
been,
break,
it's been a
Yeah.
solid like couple of months.
Yeah,
That's fair.
I will give you shit about that beach episode till the day I die.
Can't wait.
Yeah. But
Don't worry.
Nobody's gonna trust the hot springs episode in the next campaign.
I'm gonna be on edge. First thing I'm gonna do is like, I roll an insight check. Are we actually at the hot spring? No,
Oh man.
It's one other RP point that I don't think, because like the only people, like Charlie's known me the longest in this group, and I think I set myself up for this subconsciously, but when Ophelia rolled in and like everything almost immediately went to shit when she arrived, and everyone's just like, oh my gosh, you're such like a light, just like we need you to be this like shining beacon of hope and just like this little sunshine. And Haley, the player, has been told that sort of thing in real life, like, oh, you're such a ray of sunshine, you brighten every room you go into, which is a really wonderful compliment and also an incredible burden to place on somebody.
Yep.
And it's so funny. I put something in her Book of Ophelia channel that you reacted to, Sharky, as like a, oh my gosh, this is such a like, I'm ready to do this moment. And I wrote it as like a very much like, oh my god, her mental state is deteriorating, but in a way that fooled everyone around her into thinking like everything's super fine, but on the inside she's like, I cannot live up to these people's expectations of me. And what sealed the deal was when she's having this emotional moment with Atticus after Sanguine dies, and he starts telling her his life story and stuff with Carmine. And it's like, Carmine never let the duchy break him. And she's just sitting there like, well, now I extra can't show a crack. And she's sitting there like having this mental breakdown because not only has the party gone off to go do something incredibly stupid and she can't help them, the booming voice of some guy is just like, there's outsiders in this city and we're gonna fucking kill them. And she's like, great, I fucked up something again. And Doc just goes, I've been waiting to see when the cracks would start going in your perfect sunshiny exterior. And I was like, I want to kill this man. How dare you soul read her like that?
It's just the Homer Simpson and the Bart. It's just Ophelia and Doc Green. Just
Yeah, so she and the way he's talked to her after being like, yeah, everybody's has gone through what you're going through right now, and you're gonna be okay, was just so out of left field, and Ophelia's just like,
one
has never drank never really drank in her life, and now she just chugged an entire bottle of wine and is sitting on the floor with a chicken.
I can't wait until Handsome Devil. I can't wait until we get to like the final few fights and Ophelia runs out of spell slots and all she can do is go ape shit. Like
She just casts polymorph on her. All right, go ape shit.
I don't even think she would know what to do. Like if she ran out of spell slots, she would just be like, I don't know what level we get divine intervention at, but
11.
she would just be like, son daddy, I need you right now more than I've ever needed you ever. And it's not even about me, it's about these people.
After running out of spell slots, it's just the classic, I'm a healer, but it's just the gun.
Came here to kick ass and chew bubble gum, but I'm all out of
and I'm all out of gum.
And I'm all out of healing spell.
Oh, sorry, divine intervention's next level.
It's on like Donkey Kong, getting son daddy involved.
But
you also have to roll a 10 on a D100.
I know, it's not gonna work.
I think
but I have to believe in the heart of the cards.
I think something like this, like all that stuff with like Ophelia, like it really demonstrates like when it comes to role playing, just kind of don't think about it. Like don't try to steer a character's like personality, just kind of let it, develop. It's like I've seen people so many times who are like, I'm gonna play this kind of character, and it's like they like lock themselves into it, and it's just like in the situation it's the people that are always like, oh, that's what he would do. Like in this situation it's like, no man, adjust.
I'm gonna go on my fucking soapbox here. I hate this is what my character would do as person, because they all are always the asshole of the party, and they're always well, yeah, that's how my character would act in this moment because he's an asshole. But you don't have to be.
It wasn't even 1 hour after the battle royale we got rid of that person.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
We
Wait,
had a
what?
So we had last year we had a Valentine's Day battle royale where couples would fight each other. And it was like it was 5 teams of 2.
It was great.
And like an arena with like a shrinking like radius, so they'd have to get into contest with each other. But we had one player who I don't know if it was their first time or not, or if they had played like other games with more people and they just had like that group had a more relaxed atmosphere. But they were just like, they were playing their character like to a T, but it was like coming off as like rude and obnoxious and all this other stuff. And like I personally apologized to like the server afterwards and everything, and like got rid of them. I was like, I'm gonna start venting people a little bit more.
Vetting. But you can be like you can be a jerk as a character, but it doesn't have to continually happen. Like
not to the
way
detriment of
jerk,
another player.
Yes,
of another player's
exactly.
enjoyment. Like your character can be an asshole, but when it's coming out to the point of it doesn't seem like it's the character, it seems like it's you insulting the other player. Like that's when the line has to be, the DM has to step in and be like, all right, chill out.
Like the way Salvador's an asshole, I like to have as an example, because he's uncouth, we'll say.
Yeah.
He's rough around the edges.
Yeah, like there's only really been like 1 or 2 interactions between Ophelia and Salvador. And even the one that like set Atticus off, like she did not see what Salvador did wrong, because like she's like, oh, this is like my professors at school, and like even if they're mean to you, you just kind of have to just sit there and take it. And same with Doc to a degree. I mean, Ophelia has a very complicated relationship with Doc ever since the book incident. The book incident of my second time playing with you guys.
Yeah.
that kind of soured Ophelia, but this conversation she just had with him has kind of like, oh, okay. That must have just been like a weird day for him, or like that's on me, like somehow that was my fault that we ended up in this other plane where I couldn't feel the god that made me or whatever. But that's like, even in like putting together Jet for next campaign, who I kind of want to be kind of not as like sunshiny friendly, I would like it never even crossed my mind to be like, well, that's just like what Jet would do. Like, no, I'm one of those people that when I play like a game that has like you can make mean choices or nice choices, like I can't make a mean choice. What if somebody's feelings get hurt? He's just more like I'm crafting it carefully so that I can play him as kind of the way that I envision him, but not in a way that inhibits anybody else from having.
And I think that's the main idea, right? You want to make sure
Mhm.
Yeah.
you want to make sure your table's having fun. Even the players is the player's responsibility as well as the DM. The DM is there to enforce it, but the players also have that responsibility to each other to make sure that they are all having they don't yuck each other's yums, as it were.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like when Echo told me they're like, "Oh, well I like 2 of my however many character ideas are designed specifically to romance your bird boy." And I'm like, I can pivot him to being like a Mr. Darcy sort of guy where he doesn't mean to come off as kind of shitty, but he just doesn't know how to be a person and
Mhm.
he can have that character growth of like, "Oh shit, if I want to like have meaningful relationships with people, I got to get my head out of my ass." So it all just the
Hand
hand
flex.
flex. It's my favorite movie. It's my favorite movie.
Yeah, when I played in my friend Jake's campaign, which is tangentially related to this one because of my character existing in my other campaign world. So it's like all
Mhm.
these campaigns are like tied together in some way.
Mhm.
He was a warlock and he was that chaotic like energy at the start where it's like, hey, there's this old guy who's been doing stuff, so we need to, you know, find out where he is. And it's like they go to find his grave and everything, and they find me living in his house. And it's just like, yeah, that's my grandfather. And it's like, is he still dead? And it's like, well, he better be. And like they go and check the grave out. They go and check like the grave outside, and it's been dug up. So it's like, okay, granddad's out. I need to join you guys. So,
Mm.
but
Shit's haunted.
but it was like the chaotic mess of like, or was this boss fight? You know, where's Morthos? And it's like, I'm trying to get to the fight, and it's like this earth elemental can go through ground, right? So I'm holding on to it as it's like going through the ground into this underground chamber, and then it's like
Ooh.
bursting through the wall like the Kool-Aid Man, and then throwing me at the enemy because I have a scroll, plane shift scroll in my hand that I'm gonna smack the boss with.
I remember you talking about this in the first episode.
It worked.
Yeah.
Smack the hag in the face with a spell scroll. But it
Oh
was
man.
getting to the point is like it was the chaotic party member that didn't detriment to the party. He was just like, all of you guys have cool ideas. I got this one. Do we want to see how this one works? And it was like the crazier idea. But the party could still go and do their thing. And he would go and do his thing as a fallback.
Yeah.
That's funny.
There we go. Just
But
Yeah,
fighting
it's
with
getting
that
there.
for like
Yeah,
20 minutes.
and I think I was like, and playing with Luke from a few episodes ago. You guys should watch the DM talk episode.
Mhm.
Talking with like playing with Luke, playing a tiefling bard, and like having that text chat to like act, because same thing, he runs like a 3-hour session of like mostly combat, and that was fun, like developing him as like, and then giving these little like bits and pieces of like, oh, he smiles and laughs and, you know, flirty on the outside, but then like there's these like moments of like there's something else going on kind of thing. Like he keeps looking at this like unopened note that he has in his jacket and just keeps like putting it back and everything. So it's like building up mystery, and then he dies. So I didn't get to really do that. But now the role playing is a kobold who wants money, but he doesn't know what the use of money is. And he just runs around with a sword and stabs things when he's told to.
That's so funny.
So,
Clang.
Clang. All kobold names are onomatopoeias.
Yep.
Clang.
It's just a
bang.
rule.
It's just,
Bert.
yeah, just
I
a bunch
remember
of onomatopoeia names.
I remember the clarification for bang, where it wasn't just bang, it's bang.
Yeah, bang with an exclamation point.
Yeah. I remember two
But-
trying to like do that because his timbre is way different. It's like bang.
Yeah, it's like those little moments are great. And but I know we talked a lot about like our stuff this episode, but I hope it has helped anybody watching.
I
To kind
I,
of get
I wanted to. Yeah, good.
sure. I mean, we can continue with
So
it.
yeah, I wanted to actually have a little bit of we were kind of touching on it a little bit when we were going to like what characters would do, and then I kind of got on a soapbox about what my character would do as
Yeah.
person. But the general advice I have for people who are like, I want to get better at improv, there's no set like advice any one person can give you.
Just
The
do it.
the little bits of like advice I would have is like it would be a microcosm of help versus like Sharky was saying, just getting out there and just doing it and figuring it out in the moment, making a very snap decision of what my characters would do. And like I said, I have 2 different characters in this campaign. I have to very quickly be like, which one of them is more likely to respond in the moment, and then go for it.
I think my biggest thing that I've been working on is just like whatever happens, just saying like, "Yep, that's what's going on right now."
Mhm.
Because in the only like sort of area of comparison I have is just like creative writing, and that's where I have like total control over every situation.
Yeah.
So if I'm starting to write something I don't like, I'd be like, "No, that's not what's going to happen." And you can't do that when you're
When other people are
role
throwing
playing
it.
with other people. You can't just be like, "No, I don't want your character to do that." And Charlie knows that I'm bad at doing that. So he will and he's known me. We've known each other long enough where he knows exactly what buttons to push and when it's safe to push those buttons. So like I feel like he's been a good sort of like partner into this foray because I know that he's not going to steer the character interaction into an area that I'm uncomfortable with, but still challenging me to just be like, come on, you can do it, buddy. I believe in you so hard. And that's what I think that's purely why like the Ophelia Atticus thing is happening because he's like, you could be having more fun and I want you to be having more fun. And now I'm having more fun because like I would watch everybody else in all the RP channels like when I first started playing and just watch and be like, whoa, that would be so cool if I could like do that sort of thing. That tries like, as soon as I get my character out of wherever the hell he is, it's on. And it was
You know
just
what's
my split second decision in that game to be like, okay, Wynn's put him in the hamster ball. I gotta go catch him.
you know what's
I'm the only
really
one here
fun
left
that
with wings. Go
I've
ahead.
learned that I named or I think Sharky named a city in Atlantis, and I have accidentally named one of my next characters a variant of that name. And that's a minotaur on the other side of the world. So
Yeah, because when I pulled up like a mostly fake Atlantis thing, I guess it's from some Greek writing that I don't know about, but it had like name of cities and everything, but like it's all still Greek. So when you're like, I'm gonna make this
uh,
Greek coded region Minotaur, it's like, yeah, the name's gonna probably be similar.
yeah.
It's like,
So you made Cleito and I made Cleitos.
yeah.
So it's about the same, but I'm not gonna change it. I'm just keeping it there.
Yes.
Good Minotaur boy. I can't wait to play him.
I'm a little
I'm
excited
kind of
to play
cheating with
Jet.
him because I have played him in a one shot before. But he's not the same as when I played him then. I know a lot more about Roll20 for one.
I get to roleplay next week with Kev in a game, hopefully, where I'm playing a magical boy.
Magical boy.
He's
Are y'all playing
he's
Glitter Hearts?
No, he's playing. It's a D&D 5e, but he found a little supplement that has like a single class for or a single subclass for each class. That's a variant of like the magical girl genre.
Oh,
Nice.
that's pretty cool.
I'm playing basically.
I would just play Glitter Hearts.
I'm playing a wizard, but I'm playing like a card captor variant. So.
Oh, that's so cool. That's actually
So,
cool.
that's gonna be fun.
I've seen people play like Card Slingers.
And I'm doing that because this week I can't play in Luke's game because they had issues last week, so it's the same party being rotated into this week to make up for it. So that Luke's game is the one game I play pretty much every 2 weeks. So
Oh God, should I go over the games I play now?
no, we don't have enough time.
It's actually lessened since the last time. So Tuesdays I play Star Wars. That's fun. I play the brattiest fucking Jedi that you've ever met in your entire life.
Anakin Skywalker.
No, she's older. She's much older and also a woman. Those of you who may have seen Made in Abyss, Haley, don't look at it. Might know Ozin from that. I kind of modeled my character after that.
What am I not looking at?
Specifically Made in Abyss. Do not watch it.
I don't know if you're posting stuff in our Discord. I'm just thinking, why do I have 8 messages from Whipples? I should probably finish.
She posted a pretty upsetting photo in the horny board.
I need to get in to moderate my server. So
fast forwarding then, and yeah, that'll probably be. And then Saturday I play with you guys, and then I play one of two other games, and that's it. I'll play a lot of games anymore.
Neat, we're over time.
Yep.
But I think to sum it up with like just talking about our stuff, I know it could be harder for listeners to like relate to our characters and their situations without knowing like the full context of it. But the biggest thing is just try to do it more. Try to instigate it at the table with your fellow players or your DM. You know, just if you want to get better at it in person and talking, you just have to go for it. I do feel writing makes it easier because you can take as much time as you need. But if it's like a fast-paced like roleplay server, then if you're trying to take 30 minutes to type out one thing, that moment might be gone.
Mm-hmm.
So it all comes down to the rules of the moderation of like servers you use or anything like that. It's just something that it's practice. Like, I think my lack of being a player hasn't helped my role playing. So hopefully that's something that can change. But it's just doing it.
When I run my bullshit, you'll get better at it.
Yeah, it's just doing it. That's really it.
Mm-hmm. Just going in. This is what my character would do at this time, and then you might come up with a nice role-playing nugget that you didn't think of last time. You're like, that's interesting.
It's also easy around friends. It was really hard for me to get into character playing in a Pathfinder game from a looking for players group, where the DM was friends with the other 3 players, but I was the odd man out. So 3 people that I didn't really know, like trying to roll, I couldn't really like find the right energy to like role play with them about stuff. But it's definitely easier with people that you know and trust and people who can like vibe with what you're trying to do.
I had a similar experience with the Curse of Strahd game.
Yeah, so it's just play with friends. That's D&D, just play with friends. But
and I think with that we'll wrap up here. Unless you had something else you wanted to follow up with, Haley. All right.
Nah, I'm the noob here. I'm just along for the ride.
This was kind of our throw together episode for this week. We are still trying to get Alvin and Charlie back. We were going to have Alvin before we had to reschedule. So that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
But we'll try to get the other host back and get more variety back into the topics rather than just, role play and D&D. But we'll have next week to figure that out. So
we say that every week.
We do. And then we Sunday night, like, what topic? But
that's been Without Context. I have been Decavolty. With me, as always, is AnxietyLasagna and SharkyHat. As always, if you like what you're hearing from us, just leave a comment, subscribe. If you don't like what you're hearing from us, then why'd you stay for the entire hour and 10 minutes or however long we're going at this point?
Thank you for the retention.
That's kind of weird. Thank you for the retention, I guess, but like that's kind of weird. As always, you can find the links to all of our socials down below. We have a flow code for the podcast itself, and then we also have a flow code for. I have a personal flow code because God, those things are just so useful.
I'll have to double check the links in this description and the video links in last description, because I realized that when I posted the video with Luke and Pyrrha for the first day, I still had all of Dom's information down there.
No.
So I had to go and correct that. So
Oh God. All right. Well, that aside, we will probably have that rectified by the time you're seeing this anyway.
Yeah.
I think that's
Okay,
about it.
cool. Bye.
Yeah.
Bye,
This has
everybody.
been Without Context Podcast, and goodbye.